23 states and the District of Columbia have legalized or decriminalized marijuana. 2 states, Washington and Colorado, have made it legal for recreational use, which is the ultimate goal for groups trying to fully legalize weed. Colorado did this more than 8 months ago, and the numbers are in, so we can finally look at some of the effects of legalizing weed. First off, let's look at the givens. Legalizing weed adds tax revenue. That's obvious. Colorado expects a $98 million jump in tax revenue from weed sales this year alone. Legalizing weed also adds jobs. It's estimated by the marijuana industry group that about 10,000 people now work in the weed industry in Colorado, nearly 2,000 of which started in the first half of this year. Most were already working in Colorado's medical marijuana industry prior to 2014. And the weed industry only accounts for about 0.04% of Colorado's workforce. So those numbers shouldn't be overblown, but sales are good and further job growth is expected. Those are the things that we know for sure, and they have a direct causal relationship to the change in the law. But there are also things that we can't directly tie to law. These have a corollary relationship, but are still worth mentioning as they may allay some fears. Anti-legalization groups feared that legalizing recreational weed would lead to an increase in driving fatalities. There is no direct evidence of that. In fact, the number of driving fatalities were down in the first half of 2014. They also feared there would be an increase in hard drug use. Again, people are actually using less hard drugs now than they were 10 years ago. They feared that more high school-aged kids would be smoking weed. Again, no. And they feared that there would be a spike in violent crime and crime in general. There hasn't been. The crime rate is actually trending down. So, does that mean weed makes our highways and schools and streets safer? No. Like I said, there's no direct connection between legalizing recreational marijuana and any of these statistics. So, are there any proven negatives to come out of these first 8 months? Yes. Sort of, not really. There is some anecdotal evidence that the general public isn't quite ready for edible marijuana. One man ate edible marijuana and then shot his wife. Another man ate edible marijuana and then fell off a balcony. The police think that marijuana played a role in both incidents. And the number of children who have been admitted to Children's Hospital of Colorado in Aurora due to consumption of marijuana in the first 6 months of the year is already more than all of last year. Again, this evidence is largely anecdotal, but it has been enough for the state to start looking at its THC limits and labeling requirements for edible goods. On the whole, the experiment appears to be a success, but we won't know for sure until it has been in practice for many more years. If you like this and you want to learn more stuff with me, check out my other show, D-News, where I cover cool science stuff like this, whether or not marijuana is addictive.
A new study released in the Journal of Addiction Medicine has found that, yes, marijuana can be addicting. The study included 127 adolescents who were undergoing outpatient treatment for substance abuse, and for most of them, marijuana was their drug of choice.